NBC News sent out that tweet, and they eventually did take down the tweet. Hours later, I think it was 1:30 a.m. Eastern time, when many of the sort of people who watch a convention would probably be asleep anyway. And so she responded to that saying, "You waited several hours to correct your obvious and blatantly misleading tweet. It sparked an enormous amount of hatred and vitriol. And now the misinfo you created is circulating on other networks because it is all over the place. All to generate hate clicks from a pre-recorded routine procedural motion." That's what they did. And she goes on to say, "This is completely unacceptable, disappointing, and appalling. The DNC shared the procedural purpose of my remarks to media well in advance. NBC knew what was going to happen and that it was routine. How does a headline that malicious and misleading happen without that prior knowledge or with that prior knowledge? So NBC News, how are you gonna fix the incredible amount of damage and misinformation that you are now responsible for? Because a 1:15 a.m. tweet to slip under the radar after blowing up a totally false and divisive narrative across networks isn't it." And I will respond for them because they probably won't. They're gonna do nothing, AOC. They're gonna do absolutely nothing because they like what they did. They do. Sometimes I'm gonna get some of these mixed up between CNN and MSNBC, but like, you think like the network that's okay with like talking about, digital brown shirts and Bernie's like the Nazi invasion across the Maginot Line is like, oh yeah, no, they're not gonna try to hurt AOC. She's so popular, they're not gonna try to hurt her. No, they're trying to take you out because they don't want, they're not gonna wait 4 years to try to take you out when you're running for president. They want to poison as many people against you as possible now and tomorrow and next week and every single day.
Yeah, well, journalists in general know the power that they have over the people that they cover. And generally this happens because I, grew up watching and continue to watch sports so closely that I get frustrated by sometimes the way that even when it comes to things like voting people into Hall of Fame and things like that, journalists have a say, or even just in normal coverage of them as they do their job. It's very similar here when it comes to media outlets and knowing how they can portray a political figure any way that they want to, and there's enough people that trust what they say because the media is supposed to be trusted as the source. I mean, especially now, people will think, NBC News, that's more trusted than things like Fox and OAN and all those things, right? So NBC News has something trustworthy to say. They're generally on the right side because they're supporting the guy that I like, all that. And then so this is it's a layup for them as far as getting a chance to portray her differently.
Yeah, 100%. It's so see-through. And you know what? NBC started it and they took down the tweet. So they're gonna consider themselves to be clean on this. And now people are running with it. With Fox's Kilmeade bizarrely claiming AOC leading far left Dem takeover with hostage video endorsing Bernie over Biden. The funny thing about that, if anything in politics is really funny anymore, is that they ran that like 6 hours after NBC took down the tweet. Like, there isn't a person in this country who pays attention to politics who doesn't understand every bit of what happened by the time they decided, no, it's a far left takeover to try to make Bernie the candidate. Wait, but I thought that they already controlled Biden. Don't they already have him in their pocket? Like, why would they then try to get Bernie? They don't need Bernie. Biden's the radical. None of it makes any sense.
None of it ever makes any sense.
Yeah,
it's like they were set to do that, and they're like, oh, well, things changed. Well, at least NBC admitted what they said. Okay, who cares? We have something else to do. We have an entire agenda that we're set to go forward with. So who cares if reality came to light? That's not what we do here. This is Fox and Friends.
Yeah. Ugh, that's what I have to say. Really fast on the rest of the DNC last night. So I was talking to my friend for his birthday on the phone for like an hour, so I didn't watch most of it, honestly. I saw little bits. I hear some people liked Jill Biden's speech. I thought that the like 17 young state legislators and mayors and stuff like that was like perfectly fine. I don't know, JR, did you watch more of the speeches last night?
I have the last 2 days I've watched none of it. I plan on finally start watching it tonight. It was been a toss up in the house, so I'm in here solo now, and I hadn't been for a long time. So I'm resetting my gears, making sure that I'm ready to get into some political speak tonight. So I missed everything. I only watched Michelle Obama's later because of how much everyone was talking about it. So I watched that in full, but that's really the only one I've seen.
Yeah, no, I watched basically all of the first night, but yeah, I was there for AOC and that was pretty much it. I wasn't gonna waste my night on Colin Powell or something like that, which is just, he's a Republican, and how many possible votes could he swing? The current Republican Party, the Democrats, have no idea what the Democratic Party should be, and they have no idea whatsoever about what the Republican Party is. They think it's the 80s or something.
Yeah, I have this, I'm sorry, we're going longer on this. I have this, I guess a hybrid approach on this because I know Cenk and them were upset about the number of Republicans that are there, but this is a way to approach it. Now, if you had a viable party that was trying to be a big tent, which Tom Perez kind of said, he said, we're looking to unite, not divide more. This country's already divided enough. Great thing to say is the head of the DNC, cool. Now, if you actually want to embrace the liberal progressive message, bring in people like AOC, bring in other members of a new Congress, people that are coming and doing real things and are vocal and adamant about it. Bring those folks in, bring in your Colin Powells, bring in your John Kasich's, bring in all those guys that you think are gonna unify and bring in this moderate Republican vote. But you know what, as they're speaking there's gonna be this tone of progressivism and democratic values that are being put forward. So when you bring in these Republicans, they're gonna be signing on to real change and not gonna be just there as a face to bring in more Republicans. So Republicans, if you wanna come join, cool, but you're gonna have to understand what you're joining is something that's actually gonna help the American people differently than the way you used to do it, which was under the guise of just going through with normal political rhetoric, which is what the Republican Party's always done. Donald Trump came in and is doing the same things they like to do, just doesn't know how to say it the right way. Yeah. So these are the Republicans that have gone away from him, are the ones like, well, he's a little bit too crazy and radical for me. Some of those policies he does I like, but not all of them. So let me go ahead and start going more to the left, but you're not going to the left. You're just going away from Trump.
Yeah. Look, we'll see. Some of them maybe okay, like John Kasich, like just to forget, like Colin Powell, like the things he did. How can you forget the cost of the things he did? Anyway.
And honestly, I'm kind of okay with Colin Powell because he did say he's one of the few people who admitted, I did this and I did that.
That's
I was
true.
Wrong. I was the driver for that. I was used in this way. I not even like I was used and I'm too dumb to realize it. He goes, I was used and I should have known better. Like he had an actual reality-based explanation for what he did.
True.
So that's the kind of acknowledgement we're looking for. When we talked about George Bush before, I think I was on with Anna and how he's painting pictures now, he's trying to rehab his image, but he's never pointing out what he did.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.